Welcome to Calvary Church with Skip Heitzig. We're so glad you joined us today. God clearly calls the church to be the hands and feet of Jesus by ministering generously to those in need. Today, Nate Heitzig sits down with Pastor Skip Heitzig and Lenya Heitzig to discuss how Reload Love answers this call by providing critical assistance to children impacted by terror.
We call this weekend the Love Bomb Weekend, and this is something that we do as a church every single year. It's near and dear to our hearts. And in a moment, we're going to have an opportunity to partner with God and to give generously to those who are hurting. But first, we're going to get a chance to hear about what we're giving to this year. You saw some of it in that video. We're going to share with you some stories. We're going to share with you specifically what we're giving to. As most of you know, in December, Pastor Skip and Lenya were invited by Joe Rosenberg to be a part of a special delegation to Israel so they could see firsthand the situation that was unfolding in Israel. And what they saw could only be described as heart-wrenching. And they've been processing it. They have yet to be able to share what they saw with the entire church because they themselves still were thinking through and processing what it is that they saw. So we're going to get a chance this weekend to finally hear about their trip. So would you please help me welcome Pastor Skip and Lenya Heitzig, a.k.a. Mom and Dad. So good. Thank you guys for doing this today, for unpacking all of the things that you saw. You know, we've had a chance to do this twice. And up until last night, I really hadn't even had a chance to hear about the trip that you guys took to Israel. So it's a special Sunday.
Yeah, it was sort of a last-minute ask to go all the way across the world to Israel. We've been to Israel before, but of course, this is much different. And I always wanted to download this with the church and tell them what happened, but we were still, it was such a blitz moment, and then Christmas came and etc. But I thought, well, we have to go for the right opportunity.
It's so good. So, hey, before we get into all these questions, Mom, briefly share with us, for those who might be new to the church or might not know, what is Reload Love? What is the Love Bomb? Why do we do this? What's going on?
Okay, well, about 10 years ago, I was in the shower.
Best ideas come in the shower.
Take them more often.
I tell my son that. He doesn't listen.
So anyway, and ISIS was blowing through Syria into Iraq, and there was a genocide of Christians. I thought, never in my lifetime would there be a genocide of Christians. And I was just like, Lord, what can we do? I got this idea that I should collect spent bullet casings, make beautiful brass jewelry, as you've seen, and help children impacted by terror. And so 10 years later, we've built over 40 playgrounds in places like Iraq, Syria, Jordan, Pakistan, unbelievable places. God has been so good.
Last year, we raised $208,000 to do what?
Amazing. To prepare meals, deliver meals to 500,000 children.
Come on,
in both
500,000.
And Uganda. Yeah, unbelievable.
It's incredible, and I love the heart behind this ministry. It's super simple. Bullets and babies don't mix.
That's right.
Everyone can agree with that, right? Bullets
Right.
and babies don't mix. We want to turn battlegrounds into playgrounds.
That's right.
And I love the heart of this, the tip of the spear. People ask, well, why don't you do ministry here, here, here? And your focus is to help kids affected by terrorism. And
That's
that can be
right.
terrorism by an outside force or even at times by their own country.
Yes.
And that's the focus of Reload Love. And look, last year we helped Ukraine and Russian children, and this year we're helping Palestinian and Jewish children. And all these conflicts, there's always two sides. But whatever side people agree or disagree with, all of us can agree that babies shouldn't get shot.
That's right.
All of us can
That's
agree that children, widows, and orphans, it's so central to the heart of Christ that we care for them and we love them.
Amen.
And that's what this weekend's all about. Dad, here at Calvary, we have a few opportunities like this every single year to give above and beyond our tithes and offerings. And we, typically are known as a Bible teaching expositional church. So someone coming here is like, an interview, what's going on here? We do this for Love Bomb. We do a giving and offering for Thanksgiving pickup party, Love Week, Freedom Celebration, and occasionally when natural disasters or other tragedies occur. Why is it important for us to do things like this?
We think it's important as a Bible church to be a voice for the voiceless, to
That's
be
right.
able to speak out and help those who couldn't help themselves, especially in the name of Jesus. And especially as Christ followers, Jesus I think, gave the world permission to judge us when he said, "By this shall all men know you are my disciples, by the love you show one for another." It's one thing to say, "I love you." It's another thing to step up and actually love people.
He didn't give us the permission to judge the world. He gave the world permission to judge us.
Yeah.
So
and,
good.
and there's this great story about Tertullian writing about the early church, and he's writing about the fact that the Roman government sent spies into different church congregations to listen to the sermons, because the idea was that these Christians are subverting the Roman government, and so let's kind of catch them in the act. And this one person who went in wrote back and said, "These Christians are very strange people. They meet together in a room. They talk about a guy named Jesus who isn't even there, but they think he's coming at any moment." And they ended by saying, "But my, how they love him and how they love each other."
Come on.
And what a testimony that is from the enemies to look inside and say, these people love other people.
Well,
Amen.
I think they still think we're weird, and I think they still send spies. But I love that Jesus went even further. He said, don't just love one another. He said, you've heard that it was said, love your neighbor as yourself, but I tell you to love your enemies.
So good.
And, you know, one of the special things about the Love Bomb is we're not just giving to those who think like us. We're not just helping Christians. We're helping Jewish communities. This year we're helping Palestinian communities. We're helping all those who are hurt by the violence of this atrocity.
We've helped Buddhists, we've helped animists, we have helped Muslims. It's wherever children are caught in the crossfire.
I think a principle should be there is that when the world, an unbelieving world, sees Christians coming into their city, they should say, finally, they're here. Thank you. I mean, that should be what the world looks at us as, right?
Yeah, and in particular with this year, with the Jewish people, we're told in the book of Isaiah, this is to Gentiles, this command goes out. Comfort, yes, comfort my people. Comfort the Jewish people. So we have an opportunity to take the mandate literally and act on it quickly.
So good. Well, again, you visited Israel last December, and you've been to Israel 42 times?
Now
right?
I've been there 42
42?
times.
I've been there 18. You've been there
30-something.
a lot.
I don't count.
A lot of times. And usually when we go for a tour leading a group of people. But this time it was for a different reason. It was during wartime. Why did you visit Israel during wartime?
Well, we went because we were invited. So Joel Rosenberg wanted to put together a delegation to show solidarity and love to the Jewish people. So he asked a number of people, but it's a week before Christmas. And when I got the call, I said, does he think he's going to get anybody to go on this thing? I mean, for pastors, it's like the second busiest or first busiest time of the year. But then I thought, you know, I'm ahead on my Christmas message. I think we could do this. So Lenya and I went with Mike Huckabee, Senator Sam Brownback of Kansas, and he was also the governor of that state, Ken Blackwell, who was the former mayor of Cincinnati and ambassador to the United Nations. So he had kind of all these three high-level people, and then us.
We've got a picture of some of the delegation there. Throughout the interview, you're going to see different pictures show up that my dad had a chance to take, pictures that we were able to get.
Yeah, so we wanted to be there. We wanted to bear witness. We love these people. We know the people of Israel, but we wanted to see what they have gone through. There's lots of disinformation and misinformation in the media about what happened and what is happening. And so we just thought we want to hear the stories from the families themselves and visit these places.
You know, we typically go and we stay in nice hotels in nice places, and in that, you know, you guys are in a hotel in Jerusalem, but that's not why you went, and that's not where you stayed. You went into the thick of it with rocket fire, with bombed out buildings. And what were some of the things that you guys saw and experienced?
Well, there's such a thing as the ministry of presence. And I think sometimes when you're present to witness that kind of thing. 1,200 people died on October 7th. The large majority of them were civilians, which breaks all Geneva Convention rules. This was so different. 36 of the people were children. And so it just was a horrific thing that we had heard, and we wanted to see and be able to say to those in the United States what happened, because our media doesn't always tell us the truth.
No way. Don't believe it.
And there's a robust Palestinian propaganda machine that has taken over our college campuses, frankly. I'm shocked to see kids of our nation, chanting from the river to the sea.
Really quick, what does that mean? People who hear that from the river to the sea.
So the river to the sea is a Palestinian chant. It means from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. That is the eastern and western borders of the Jewish state of Israel. To say from the river to the sea is a way of saying eradicate all the Jews from the Middle East.
It's a call for genocide.
It's a call for genocide of the Jewish state in particular.
That's happened before, by the way.
It's interesting. It's happened before, and I feel like a lot of people in history have called for that. And that's part of Satan's plan. That's why we call this a satanic attack. Satan was told by God in the garden that the seed of the woman will crush your head. And from that point, Satan sought to destroy the seed of the woman, which was the Jewish people. It happened, with Moses and the Jewish people with Pharaoh. It happened with Herod and trying to destroy all the firstborn children of Israel. Hitler did it. So this isn't a new strategy of Satan. It's
not just a battle of good and evil. It's a satanic, demonic thing that is being fought. And frankly, people lied about the Holocaust, and people are believing falsehoods now that this didn't happen. We'll talk about that later a little bit. And, even saying that the women were not raped. And but when you see dead women whose hip carriage has been crushed from being raped, or their legs in unnatural broken positions, there is no denying that it happened, and yet there are people out there denying it.
Yeah.
We wanted to go and be there firsthand and give a report.
Yeah, it's sobering to think about this. And again, some of the stories you're going to hear today, some of the videos and pictures, they are graphic, and we felt that it was important to show you what really happened. These families are experiencing it, and I think one of the best ways we can be empathetic is to feel and see what they see and what they feel. But just a warning, if you have kids and you feel like that's going to be disturbing for them at different times, feel free to cover their eyes or cover their ears. Again, these were attacks not on military installations. These were attacks on peaceful communities. Some of the places that were hit the most were kibbutz, which we're going to hear about a little bit later on. But these are peaceful farming communities who don't want war. They don't want to fight. If anything, they want peace with Gaza. Well, you guys were there. There was even rocket attacks that were happening in the city while you were there.
In Tel Aviv. So for years, rockets have been sent from Hamas territory, from Gaza, into Israel. And they're not really aiming at anything. They're just hoping it will hit homes or neighborhoods and kill people. That's the idea. So when we were in Tel Aviv, there were 7 rockets shot. We saw the video of them, Iron Dome, shooting them out of the sky right over our heads.
Crazy. What did you guys do in Israel? What was the purpose of the delegation while you were there?
Well, to meet with families, to talk to those whose family members are hostages on the other side in Gaza. Also to meet with government officials like Danny Danon, who's with Israel's government, Gidon Sar, who's the Security Council member and minister, and to get a briefing from them, from the IDF, when we were in these villages like Sderot and Kfar Aza, these kibbutzim.
This photo here, we're actually in what is like the Pentagon. What is the name?
It's called the Kiryat, and it's the Pentagon of Israel in Tel Aviv. Yeah.
Some of our members were meeting Benjamin Netanyahu
Right.
that day, and so we were getting briefings from the head of their communications,
Right.
That were telling us, look,
This is what happened.
Yes.
This is what should happen. This is
Right.
what we want you to bring back.
Wow. Now that's cool. That's exciting you got to do that. But I think that's not where I would say a lot of the meat was. You guys had an opportunity not just to meet with political leaders, but to meet with hostage families and,
Right.
and families of those who lost loved ones. And you heard some incredible stories. Any in particular that stand out to you while you were there?
Well, you're right. This is not like a tour to Israel. Those are happy. This was a very mournful kind of a thing. The mourning was palpable in Israel. You could feel it nationally. Everybody was sad. Everybody knows somebody who was killed or taken hostage. I mean, it's a small country, relatively speaking. You can fit Israel in New Mexico 12 times.
Wow.
It's a small country. And
So do you remember 9/11, how you felt and how shocking that was? Well, imagine if you lived in New York and 9/11 happened, not in New Mexico, such a small country. Everybody felt violated, stunned. They were embarrassed. They were shocked. But also, one of our drivers said that he felt like the nation was kind of at a civil war moment, in the sense, kind of like red states, blue states, Trump and Biden, and how polarized we have become as a nation. But they were all saying, no, now we're done, we're unified, no to Hamas. It's been years of rocket fire. Yeah. We don't want our troops to come home until this has been eradicated.
Right. Nothing like an attack to bring the country together, right? I mean, think of the solidarity we felt after 9/11.
An attack of civilians.
Israel feels that as a nation right now.
I mean, just as we would. I mean, just imagine, it's one thing to hear people's stories, but we talk about feeling empathy. Imagine if we got reports that you had cartel members storming across the border and they had murdered 1,200 people and they had taken over 300 hostages, women and children, into tunnels in Mexico. Imagine how you would feel. Imagine how the country would feel. Imagine the resolve and the response that we would have to something like that. And that's what these people are going through. It's hard to really fathom what they're experiencing.
And can I just say, you know, we say Hamas like it's just the terrorists, but actually the Palestinians voted them into office. They have supported them. What was shocking when we visited one of the kibbutz is after the carnage, dead bodies are still there. Hamas is still in control of the area. Many civilians came across and looted the homes that had been bombed out or where dead bodies were. And so there's some culpability for the citizens of Gaza as well.
And just keep something in mind with this whole Gaza thing where people say, well, Israel's occupying that territory. Israel
pulled out,
deoccupied that territory and gave it all under Palestinian authority.
Rule.
Everything. They forced their own citizens out of the area to Israel, so that since 2005, it has been completely owned and operated by Gaza.
Now, I want to say, too, that doesn't make it any more acceptable or less heartbreaking to hear that Palestinian children are getting killed as well. And a big part of our goal and focus this year is to help Israel and her neighbors. The funds we're collecting are to help Jewish, Messianic, and Palestinian children who are affected in the crossfires of terrorism.
Yes.
Because as Christians, our heart breaks for anyone who is innocent, who is being hurt or being mistreated.
Amen.
You know, in this, you could have made a phone call or a video call. Look at something, man, a week before Christmas, get a Skype call to see what's happening. Get a phone call. Why was it so important to go in person?
You know, I lived on a kibbutz years ago in the 70s, so I remember what a great experience I had. Here's a peace-loving community, and it was such a joyful time to go back to a kibbutz that had been affected, and few of them have. Several of them were in the area, as well as the city we're going to talk about. I wanted to hear the reports from the people who live there, and I wanted to show solidarity to them. You know, we heard from so many people, probably everyone there. Thank you, thank you. You didn't have to come. Thank you for coming now. This means so much to us. Please hear our story, and please tell our story to your people.
Again, it's that ministry of presence. The other thing that's different from all the other times is we traveled in armored vehicles. We had to wear bulletproof vests, and was recommended we wore helmets, but who wants helmet hair? If you're going to take
people who don't want to get shot in the head.
Right, I know it's bad. And we were told we're in a war zone. You can see I was helping Mike Huckabee put his vest on. We were all trying to get ready. And while we were there, you could hear bombs, artillery, and bullets. And I got to tell you, I flinch. I really, you know, like a cartoon character flinch. And at one point, one of the IDF officers turned to me and he said, "You don't have to be afraid. Those are our bombs." And I'm like, you know what? I can't tell the difference between our bombs and their bombs. I just know there's bombs going off.
It's loud.
It's loud. Right. Yeah.
And they told us, when we got off the bus, they told us the first thing, you are now in an active war zone. And that's the first statement.
Not a Call of Duty war zone, an actual war zone.
It's an active war zone. if you hear this siren and this announcement, you have 10 seconds to get to a bomb shelter. And everywhere we went, they pointed out the nearest bomb shelter, of which you have 10 seconds to get to.
It makes our problems feel so insignificant, doesn't it? I mean, when you're having to distinguish good bombs from bad bombs, when you're having to live on a daily basis 15 seconds to get to a bomb shelter, when you're hearing about these things that they're experiencing, I'm mad when the line's too long at Starbucks to get my Americano.
Well, you shouldn't be at Starbucks. You should be at Sopo.
Sopo.
Fair point. But it makes our problems feel insignificant, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't it make the things that we as Americans complain about feel almost trite and trivial when you experience what other people
First world
are
problems.
going through? You guys had a chance. One of the first places you visited was the Kfar Aza kibbutz. And again, a little clarity. My dad lived on a kibbutz. Kibbutz are peaceful farming communities. These
Almost
are people
like hippies.
who kind of just want to be left alone. They've left the city. They've started a little commune of their friends and family.
Yeah.
They farm. They love each other. They're very peaceful people. They don't want war. You're going to share, hopefully, some of the stories about how peaceful they are in their heart, even for Gaza. But a lot of horrific things happen there. Some that the media has covered, some that they've downplayed, some that they haven't talked about at all. Can you tell us what you guys saw and learned there?
Yeah, one of the places we went to, and we have footage of that, is at a kibbutz, this community called Kfar, which means the town of, Kfar Aza, the town of Aza, a little village of Aza. And it's about 3 kilometers from the border with Gaza, the Gaza Strip.
Only about 800 people.
Yeah, and on that day, October 7th, 62 people in Kfar Aza were killed by terrorists, and 19 of them were taken hostage across the border.
1/5 of the entire village.
So the attack happened from the west side, where the Gaza border is, and on the west side of the kibbutz, we were taken to this little row of houses where young families had moved. They're raising young children. So the first flank of attack was against these young families with their young children.
The head of that area, kind of like the mayor of that, his name was Ophir Libstein, and he came, they had an armory. You know, Israel used to have guns out all the time, and on the way to protect the kibbutz, he was killed. And his mother-in-law was being cared for, you know, by a senior caregiver. They both died. And they didn't find his son for a while, Nitzan, but he also was killed. It was post-apocalyptic, wasn't it?
He was killed
Renee?
in this house.
Yeah,
He was killed holding a safe room door closed to protect people.
Yeah. And then
it's heartbreaking.
his cousin, Netta Libstein, heard that his father, mother-in-law, or grandma, so he had a fiancée. He ran to those row of houses for young people. They threw a grenade in. He picked up and threw it out. They sent a second grenade. He picked it up and threw it out. Third time, he didn't have time, so he threw himself on the grenade to protect his fiancée. And she had bought her wedding dress. They were having plans for the future. She has survived, and she's trying to live well in honor of him. That day, it was Shabbat, like our Sunday, and it was a special Shabbat, Sukkot.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like Thanksgiving.
Simchat Torah was the name of the festival of that
Yeah,
day.
and so that day they were going to have a kite festival, the young people who are like peaceniks. I mean, you know, overalls, Birkenstocks, and peace signs. No, I don't know if that's what they wore, but they were going to put kites in the air and release them to go into Gaza with notes of peace and love and brotherhood and wanting to get along. And these are the people that died on that day.
These stories are just, I mean, these are just snippets of stories. And the reality is we talk a lot about at Calvary, we're all about the numbers, because behind each statistic is a story. Behind each number is a name. Behind each hand is a heart. And every one of those 1,200 people who died has a story like those two that you just heard. Heart-wrenching, tragic, heroic stories. And again, I just put myself in this situation. Imagine if you were in that situation. Imagine if someone came into your home and killed your kids, your grandkids, your wife, your brother, your sister. If you had to make a decision to jump on a grenade to save your fiance. Imagine having to make those decisions in that scenario. I think it's important for us to hear the stories again because it makes us empathetic and it makes us realize, I can't imagine what that would be like if it was me.
One of the Israeli press people that were coming with us, he showed me where the people who cleared the bodies had written on the homes, two bodies were found on the couch. This salon was covered with body parts, which would have been the one from the bomb. And the people who collected these bodies were the Orthodox group of people that handle bodies religiously, not just medically, so that they were honoring them, covering them, doing all the things. And even those people are traumatized because they've never had to come in and recover, such chaos of beheaded, maimed people.
Right. This was not a military fight. This was an attack by a militant group in Hamas to citizenry unsuspected in Israel.
Your next stop was a town called Sderot, which we have little stickers that were on your seat. I think we might have ran out of them, so you might not have gotten one. But it says, I love Sderot. It's one of the cities that we're focusing the love bomb on this year. It's a city comprised mostly of Russian and Ukrainian refugees who have come into Israel,
right.
who have Jewish
They're
ancestry.
very poor.
And this city is no stranger to warfare. This was just another one of many terrorist attacks they experience on a daily basis. It's known as the bomb shelter capital of the world. Children there have been experiencing PTSD because of ongoing rocket attacks that come from Palestine for years. What is life like for these children now after this?
Yeah, you think, who would live in a town called the bomb capital or bomb shelter capital of the world? Well, it didn't start out that way. It was settled like in the 50s after Israel came into the land. It was a very peaceful farm community down south. There were no problems, there was no incursion, there were no attacks. But after the Israelis gave Gaza to the Palestinians in 2005, that's when the trouble began. Since then, in the last 20 plus years, over 6,000 Qassam rockets have been fired in, manufactured in Gaza, sent over to Sderot. So people who live there now have to cope with that kind of firepower.
What does that look like practically, though, for the people on an individual level?
They have 15 seconds to find a bomb shelter.
There's bomb shelters everywhere.
Yeah.
And in fact, there's bomb fragments everywhere. They have them all over on shelves all through the town where they have collected, and they have them out so people remember every day, this is where you live.
But we had the privilege of meeting the head of security in that region, a female, and she had said that there were 36,000 people in Sderot, 30,000 have been displaced, and in other parts of the country, but 6,000 stayed. They were either old, they had pets, or they were determined, not on my watch, my city's not falling, we are going to stand here, hold the fort, and so there were some very courageous people as well.
Speaking of courageous, you were able to hear the story about the Suissa family.
Yes.
And I want to say one of the things, she's going to share this story, one of the things that's most remarkable to me is the person who stepped up to try to help and save them was not a Jewish person. It was a Muslim Bedouin Arab who stepped in and tried to save this family and was also killed. Can you share that story?
Yeah. So the Suissa family, on that morning when the alarms, the sirens went off, as normal people would go for shelters, but this time there were terrorists on the streets, which they were not expecting. And their children were so traumatized by that, they said, well, we'll just get in the car and we'll drive out of town. We'll be okay. So we see this footage of the roundabout in central Sderot, and you hear the things, and then there's these trucks souped up with guns and things, and you see that come through the roundabout, and then you see the Suissa's car. You're thinking, who would bring a car out? But they weren't expecting people on the street. And then they see Hamas. For whatever reason, they stop the car. The mom grabs one daughter, the mother grabs the other, and they run in opposite directions. And the dad went toward the roundabout, and Hamas came and shot the dad, and you can see the little girl on the street crying. That's when this Bedouin comes, helps her to the car. The mom comes back to the car, And where would you go if this was happening? You'd drive to the police station, where you could be safe. But they didn't know the police station had been taken over by Hamas. So when the family, the mother and the 2 girls and the helper get to the police station, Hamas is there and kills the driver and the mother. The girls were laying on the floor under the seats in the back. And so we have footage that's graphic, but it kind of shows what happened.
Yeah, it picks up the tail end of this. Again, it's graphic, it's heart-wrenching, so if you need to close your eyes or cover your kids' eyes, feel free to do so. But for those of you that can, I encourage you to watch, because I think it's important for us to see firsthand what happened. Let's take a look.
כן, חמודה, כן. אנחנו ניקח אתכם. בואי. אז בסדר, אני איתך.
Again, heart-wrenching, unfathomable. These are things we only think we should see in movies or in fiction, and yet it's real life. Again, I just imagine if those were my babies, your grandbabies who had to experience that and live with that trauma for the rest of their life. Mayor Alon Davidi says that Sderot can be rebuilt. He believes that it can become a symbol of recovery and hope, which is such faith to have in the midst of this tragedy. What do children in Sderot need to feel safe and to flourish as they try to return and rebuild?
Go ahead. At Reload Love, we say there's a can that they need to have, like a safe place, someplace they can be comforted and safe, acknowledge that you aren't bad people, bad things happen, and is normalcy. That you bring them to normalcy as quickly as possible with a playground, with crayons, with Legos, with those kind of things. And I think they're super, super stressed. Did you have statistics about...
Well, the kids in Sderot, they're 3 to 4 times more stressed out with anxiety, sleep disorder, post-traumatic stress syndrome than other kids in other parts of that region. I mean, that's a bad enough region anyway, but which would be higher than everywhere else probably in the world, especially in the West. But to have 3 to 4 times more of that in the city of Sderot, this is why we want to help. The mayor, Alon Davidi, was an amazing man. So
Yes.
he was... the mayor of Sderot tried to quit, stayed there. They invited him to be a member of the Israeli Knesset, the parliament. He denied it so that he could stay as the mayor of this city.
Thank God he did.
Don't you wish our politicians carried that mentality?
To live in that city, Nate, it's unbelievable. One guy who lives there said it's like Russian roulette. You know one day a bomb is going to hit your house. You just don't know when. And so that's how they're living. What do they need? They need counseling. We met some of the counselors, some of the evangelical Christian Jewish counselors.
It's hard to be a Christian in Israel.
Ooh, it's very difficult. And it's difficult to listen to that kind of trauma day in and day out endlessly and counsel. The first 45 days, a kid needs sort of intensive counseling if they've seen and been exposed to that.
I was noticing, because I've seen that video now, when they pick up the little girl who's 2, you just see her legs dangling. She had to be in complete and utter shock. That didn't seem mobility. There is a pastor Pastor Michael Biener and his wife Dina that are Messianic Jews that live in that area and want to build a community, but they are persecuted by the Orthodox Jews. They try,
And by the Muslims. They're on both sides.
yeah, that's true. And so they try and kick them out of buildings and, use laws against them. But this couple want to have a robust expression of the love of Jesus Christ. And if we can provide things for them to funnel to the community, then you can leave the fragrance of Christ in the hearts and minds and lives of the Jews to realize that Christians love them and want to help them.
Come on, that's why we do this. We do it in the name of Jesus Christ, because if we go with care and aid humanitarian but don't tell them about Jesus, the ultimate solution to their spiritual problems, then what is it worth? And so everything we do in the name of Jesus. Dad, you also visited Hostage Square in Tel Aviv, which is a very sobering place to be. Some of the women and children who were taken hostage have been released, but many have not. How can the church support Israel as they deal with heartbreak and trauma? How do we honor the lost and the missing? And explain this photo to us.
So first of all, this photo is at Hostage Square, and then I'll explain Hostage Square. So at Passover, there's one chair. Typically, the family will leave vacant in case Elijah shows up, right? That's the thing, that Elijah will come before the day of the Lord. So there's a chair for Elijah. Here is empty chairs with the pictures of the hostages, one at each chair, to celebrate their missing at our meals.
I want you to, look at the size of that table, but notice it's not just chairs, it's high chairs, and it's bibs. Again, it's unfathomable. Imagine your baby being taken from you and held hostage. The life that relies on you for sustenance, for provision, being taken from you, and that's what they're experiencing.
So on October 7th, 1,200 people were killed, most of them civilians. 33 were children. It's the worst loss of life in a single day since the Holocaust. And Hostage Square is a place in Tel Aviv where families can gather together, sing songs, share stories, get comfort. I bought this T-shirt there, which means...
Yeah, you speak Hebrew, we don't. What does it say?
It means bring them home now.
Yeah.
Bring them home now. We have dog tags as well.
You can get dog tags online, I think.
Yeah, probably you could get this T-shirt online. But I wore this on a Wednesday night, and I should have explained it. I didn't. But that's what it means. Bring them home now. It's about the hostages. So we met with several families in and around there who still have family members in
Families
Gaza.
can come to commiserate with each other, tell the stories of their families. It helps them to cope. And
you met some of them.
Yes.
What did they say to you, and what did they want to say to us?
They wanted to tell the story of their families, and they want us to tell the stories to you. That's the most important thing to them. 4 months ago is when this happened. I dare say you woke up this morning and you weren't thinking about the hostages in Gaza. And we can't forget. So we met Daphna Sala, and she told us that on that day, 12 of her family members were either kidnapped or killed, which is staggering.
She's this one in the white shirt,
With
putting
her
hand on her mouth.
Yes, and since then, 8 of the family members, women and children, have come home, but that means she still has lost 4 members.
And behind her with the white beard is Danny Moran. He lost his son that day, Omri, and he said that Omri was taken in front of his wife and daughters. And that after that day, he said, I've lost my son, I've lost my grandkids, I've lost my wife, everyone in my family is gone. I'm left. My whole world caved in that day. And he was telling the story to us as a delegation.
We also have a video from a man that you all were able to talk to who also experienced significant loss and has a message that I think we should all hear. So let's take a look at that video.
I just want to add perhaps a request, if I may, from you as leaders of communities, to continue share these stories, to continue advocate for the hostages every day with your community members, and most importantly, advocate against the hate that Israelis and Jews are experiencing since October 7th. That there is denialism of this event, denialism that Omri exists and he's a hostage in the Gaza Strip. I experienced it firsthand in New York, where people denied the atrocities of October 7th. And sadly, it happens at times in Christian communities as well. And so it's important to keep talking to Christian leaders in the US to amplify these stories so people will not forget, so people will not deny.
So before this video, here's a guy who was in New York and experienced firsthand persecution because he was Jewish in our country, in New York City. Because he's Jewish, there's a lot of Jews in New York. Because he's Jewish in New York, he was persecuted, and that's what he was making reference of. But before him, there was a husband and wife couple standing there, and they have a son named Omer. And Omer was taken as a hostage that day. That's the couple. So she was saying, my son was taken, and they're wearing a T-shirt with Omer's name on it. And she said, Omer has asthma, and he didn't have his inhaler when he was taken. She said, I also have asthma. I wake up every day, grab my inhaler, and I think of my son probably in a tunnel without good air, without his inhaler, and I wonder, is he dead? Is he alive? Will he ever come home? That's what she has to live with every day.
And recently they heard that 32 more hostages are dead in Gaza. Their bodies are there. Don't know who
Don't know
of
if he's
those.
one of them. All
Yeah.
those families, when they hear about more bodies being discovered, imagine how they wait on bated breath. Are they mine? Is it my kids? Is it my grandkids? Is it my wife? Is it my father? Waiting with bated breath to hear the news. But again, this weekend isn't just about hearing stories. This weekend is about giving aid to help those who have lived through those stories. This weekend is about stepping in as the hands and feet of Jesus Christ and saying, on our watch, we're not going to tolerate this happening. We're going to run to where the bullets are. We're going to rescue those babies. We're going to do what we can to be the salve of Jesus Christ upon their souls. Our goal this weekend was to raise $200,000 to meet some of these needs, and just a very small amount. We're already at over $150,000 after two services.
You,
so give God a shout of praise. The reality is that the more we get, the more we can do. Mom, can you share with us really quick how Reload Love can help the children who are caught in the crossfire? And the reality is, we said before, that innocent children are being hurt and affected on both sides of this. And while politically and philosophically, Calvary Church stands firmly with Israel, as Christians, we stand and care for innocent people being hurt on both sides. So where will the funds raised this year go, and how will they help?
Relief supplies are in high demand for displaced families. Just getting supplies to this displaced 30,000 from Sderot and hotels in Eilat and Jerusalem, and bringing them school supplies, bringing them the things that they need because they left with nothing. Supplies continued as the families resettle, getting them back in their homes, and the children are terrified to go home. Their schools, they call them kindergarten. Those are preschools there. Many of them need to be redone, refurbished. We want to partner with a group that is building a community center that is a bomb shelter as well, but it will seat 900 people in theater style. They want to dedicate one of the rooms for children to Reload Love. Also, in the border of Egypt and Israel, there's a gate called Rafah Gate. It's the only gate open for supplies to get into Palestine. There's a pastor in Egypt who his wife and children were in Gaza when this happened. She is Palestinian. He watched at the gate for her to come out. And so they have set up a tent there, and we're providing for them that as people come out of Gaza, the only people that can have to have dual documents, that they have to be citizens of Palestine and Egypt, or Palestine and Lebanon. When they come out, these people are there to greet them in the name of Jesus and give them supplies and encouragement as they're coming out of Gaza.
Anything you want to add as we close, Dad?
No, except to say thank you, and see this as a holy moment, a worship moment, instead of leaving right away. We're going to close with a song after we receive the offering and stand together.
Thank you so much for joining us for this message from Calvary Church with Skip Heitzig. We would love to know how this message impacted you. If you're interested in learning more about Reload Love and the mission to arm children with hope, visit reloadlove.com. And if you'd like to support this Bible teaching ministry with a financial gift, visit calvarynm.church/give.